Afternoon, dear students. In today's class, we will be discussing about bronchial asthma. It, it is a very common question which can be expected for pediatric examination. So, in today's session, we will be discussing about the bronchial asthma in detail, and especially in children, what is happening. So, regarding the introduction, asthma, it is a common disease of childhood and the primary cause of school absences and responsible for a major proportion of pediatric admissions to emergency department. Because it is a chronic condition, repeatedly the attacks will be there. So it is one of the reason for frequent absence in school. And it is a chronic inflammatory disease of airway in which many cells play a role. So particularly mast cells, eosinophils, T lymphocytes, these are some of the cells which is actively involved in the bronchial asthma episodes. Regarding the definition of bronchial asthma, it is a reversible episodic obstructive airway disease caused by hyperreactivity of the bronchial tree to a variety of stimuli. So 1, 2, 3 important points. It is a reversible. It is not a reversible. It is a reversible condition, episodic. That means repeated episodes can be expected, and the main problem here, it is the obstructive airway disease. So the airway becomes obstructed because of some reasons, and it will be leading to this asthma episodes. Regarding the incidence, about 10 out of every 100 children in India have asthma. So that is about the incidence in asthma. And the onset of asthma may occur at any age, because even in adult patients also we will be seeing frequently the asthma. But 80 to 90% of children have their first symptom before 4 to 5 years of age. And after that it is a chronic condition. It becomes a chronic condition, and the person may have the continuation of the manifestations even in the adulthood also. Then boys are affected more frequently than girls until adolescence, when a trend reverses. So till adolescence, boys are affected more, and afterwards the girls will be affected more. Regarding the etiology, so many etiological factors are there, like allergens, like outdoor allergens and indoor allergens will be there. Outdoor, it may be trees, grasses, pollens, sores, and indoor we can see dust, even cockroach antigen can be an allergen for asthma. Then there will be some irritants like tobacco smoke, wood smoke, odors, sprays, etc. And in some conditions it may be occurred as a result of some viral infections and exposure to occupational chemicals. Exercise, even an exercise can leads to asthma episodes. Cold air, changes in weather or temperature, medications like aspirin, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and strong emotions can also lead to asthma. And some food, it can also act as allergens like milk, dairy products, etc. So these are some of the etiological factors, and it is very non-specific factors. One person will be getting allergy because of one reason, but the second person will be getting another reason. So it may not be a single factor which leads to bronchial asthma, but the multiple factors will be contributing to asthma in different individuals. One more thing, like asthma can be an responsiveness to triggers. In that way also we can explain asthma. So based on that triggers, we can have extrinsic asthma and intrinsic asthma. So extrinsic asthma, it is otherwise known as allergic asthma, and the intrinsic asthma, that can be leads because of some non-specific factors. Okay, so extrinsic asthma, the specific allergens will be there, and we can identify the specific allergen by positive skin test. Allergy test can be done, and we can identify the person allergic to the specific antigen, and it can be a pollen, house dust, etc. Regarding the intrinsic asthma, it is non-specific factors in the environment can lead to intrinsic asthma. It can be a cigarette smoke, strong odor, fumes, exercise, drugs. So a allergic test cannot confirm the intrinsic asthma. So this is about the differences between intrinsic asthma and extrinsic asthma. Intrinsic factors leads to intrinsic asthma and extrinsic factors leads to extrinsic asthma. So regarding the classification, that is about this is one classification, that is intrinsic asthma and extrinsic asthma, and the second classification is severe persistent asthma, moderate persistent asthma, mild persistent asthma, and mild intermittent asthma. That is depending upon the exacerbations. Okay, let me explain the severe persistent asthma. There will be continual symptoms, frequent exacerbations, and frequent nighttime symptoms will be there, and the person will have very limited physical activity. Then the asthma is known as the first one, that is severe persistent asthma. The second one is moderate persistent asthma. Here there will be daily symptoms, and the person may be requiring this inhaled short acting beta agonist. Exacerbations will be there, and it is after activity, and maybe exacerbations may be lasting for some days. So that much limitations in the physical activity is not that much like severe persistent asthma. And the third one is mild persistent asthma. So exacerbations will be there, and during the exacerbations it will be affecting the activity, and nighttime symptoms will be more than 2 times in a month. Mild intermittent asthma, that is a fourth one, that is exacerbations will be very brief and nighttime symptoms will be less than 2 times per month, and that is frequent episodes will not be present in mild intermittent asthma. So this is based on the exacerbations of asthma. We can classify the asthma into severe persistent asthma, moderate persistent asthma, mild persistent asthma, and mild intermittent asthma. So these are the asthma classification depending upon the exacerbations. So next we can see the pathophysiology. In the next video we can see the pathophysiology.